So my name's Gail Higginbottom, and I'm a teacher here at Esquimalt High School, and one of the areas that I teach in is the Challenge program. What I love about the Challenge program here is it offers students the opportunity to investigate their projects in really creative ways, to think deeply about those projects and to really look at those in out-of-the-box ways. Why I love fostering creativity in English is it allows students to really build upon their strengths and their unique skills. After all, creativity looks different for everyone. For example, a musical student, it may look like a new composition. For a dance student, it may look like an interpretive dance. And for a poet, creativity may look like a new slam poem, a new beatbox, or a new rap. Creativity really allows students to build upon their passions, which I think really is what Esquimalt High School is all about. And through their passions, they learn a sense of who they are and a sense of independence.
I started with what attracts me to graffiti art, the purpose for an individual. It's actually like a therapeutic way to release emotions and express ideas, as well as like prove points, say in political satire. For my presentation, I had a monologue, and then I got all the kids up and prompted them to write down how they feel and their emotions. And it was really cool because they all just expressed everything, and then that served as a backdrop for the rest of the presentations. Between art and tagging is more of like a rhythmic form of advertising. Say if a kid was really angry, he would go out with a can of paint and just hit telephone pole after telephone pole. Like, it's super rhythmic, and I guess that'd be therapeutic for him, but not really for anyone else. Whereas street art, a passerby would see the art and also be affected by it, rather than just the artist. The effect would not only be for the sole person, but also everybody else who sees it.
Sad kind of piece, and then a happy piece at the end, and then like in the middle kind of like a hopeful, so it's kind of a little bit of both. So basically the first one is more like, so I choreographed it to be more like slow and sad, so you can kind of, like, I was hoping you could tell the difference, like the progression. So like the last one was more like bouncy and kind of like there's more jumps and more like fast paced. So that was kind of like the progression. But yeah, so.
There's something on the window, there's something on the floor, there's something in the pantry, there's something on the door, there's something on my shirt, there's something on my pants. It's even in the closet, even on the ends. That something's not spaghetti, that something's not pajamas, that something's not a walrus, a liver, or llamas. That something is ubiquitous. I think you ought to know that something is all the colors of the rainbow. Ooh, yeah. All-powerful red, evoking and strong. Then there's mellow yellow, spreading joy all day long. Not to mention beautiful pink, color of healthy lungs. Next we have naturopathic green. And for when the time comes, we have purple, the second cousin of blue and red. Ambivalent orange equals carrots to eat in bed. Last but not least, we have wise old blue. And now we'll see how they affect me and you.
Heaven, I'm in heaven, and the cares that hung around me through the week seemed to vanish like a gambler's lucky streak.
I took a lot of jazz, mixed them together, and I sort of did a jazz history lesson through my singing, and I performed it for the English class. I really like jazz, and jazz has been a big part of my life. I thought it would be good because there's not really a big structure for jazz, and it's not really linear, so you can say whatever you want through your instrument or when you're singing or anything like that. You can improvise a lot, and I really like that factor.
For my project, I researched the voice and self-expression in society and how society is channeling us in one direction throughout our lives. And so as a representation of this, I did a video of a poem that I wrote expressing my own fears of the future. And the arts have always been very, very important, maintaining emotional balance, just letting all of the stuff that you feel like you can't talk to people necessarily about just out in some type of media or format, either by drawing or singing or writing or just kind of getting those emotions out. I just think it's such a reflection of what's going on in the society at the time. For future generations, they'll be able to look at our art and analyze it and see what type of things we valued. And if we stop valuing art, there won't really be a way to look at us in the future to see what we stood for. And the lack of art will be something so shocking because it's such an important aspect of culture.
I did my research on Baroque music and how the shift from Renaissance period to Baroque and then from Baroque to classic. So the Partita No. 2 in C minor is written by Bach, and it contains a sinfonia, an allemande, courante, a sarabande, a rondo, and a capriccio. And those are all types of dances. And so Bach wrote French suites, English suites, and these partitas are considered the German suites of his suites. And so the piece that I played, it starts with a French overture, which is basically a relation that's grave, which means like really slow. And then there's two next sections. The first one is kind of a moderate pace, and it has a really nice melody. And then the last section is kind of just like going really fast to get to the end.
I was researching traditional Germanic storytelling with a focus on the Grimm brothers. For my project, I decided to tell one of their stories to the class. I picked a story that was kind of unknown and that I felt was kind of representative of a lot of themes that I had researched about these stories. And then I just learned it and I practiced telling it and I told it to the class. We got in like a circle and I had a little candle and everything, so it felt very campfire-y, I guess. I did some research on like the relevance of many of the themes of these stories, and I found that many of these stories have been around for hundreds of years and they progress through time based on like the changing values of the societies that they're in. I found that some of the changing themes were the most interesting, such as like previous or earlier stories had been less patriarchal and had been more less edited, and the heroines were less innocent. It was more realistic, I guess, and then they were made more innocent and more perfect later on.
So my project was on Woodstock, and the kind of things that Woodstock stood for, and the kind of emotions, and the physical things that were happening at Woodstock. I went back to the music, and so I needed a way to use music to express the voice of Woodstock. So I decided to do an interpretive dance. So really for me this was about just like feeling the music and like trying to let go, and in a way for me that represents also the ideals of Woodstock, because it was rebelling against this very like choreographed and very like structured dance and ideals of the 1950s and of the mainstream like 1960s. and it's kind of like the hippies and the Woodstock Nation. They were about, and I tried to pick music that I thought really expressed the like the beliefs that were part of Woodstock, like the political beliefs, as well as this rebellion and this counterculture.
I did my project on composition as a use of expressing voice, interpreting how the composer chose the instruments and the meter and the textures of those instruments and how he put them together. Because for both classical and for modern, like singer-songwriter music, even without lyrics, you can tell very much what state of mind the composer was in when he composed it and what he was trying to convey. Music can sometimes express emotions that words cannot describe, as cliche as that is. Like, it's more of a feeling, and when you can put that in through tones and chords, it really makes you feel a lot more what would just be arrangements of the alphabet, if you were to say it. I composed and arranged a song with a friend on guitar and singing and with violin.